Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from rSpace. My wife wants to renegotiate the terms of our marriage. Without going into too much detail with our past, my wife and I are at a bit of a crossroads with our marriage. Long story short, there has been a history of insecurity and trust issues on my part due to various instances of her emotional cheating, sending inappropriate photos and messages to guys, both known to her and not, and generally a lack of mutual respect of boundaries. My wife openly admits to mental health issues, and in the past has seen this behavior as she has something wrong with her, goes to counseling. I'm given, what seems, partial access to her phone, things to get better with time. As this has happened about 3 to 4 times in a 5-year marriage, there is an obvious cycle and pattern. While we and only we set the rules and boundaries for our marriage, we both went into this marriage with clear expectations around acceptable behavior, or so I thought. Her previous husband encouraged this side of her, and I made it pretty clear I wasn't up for it. I'm a pretty black and white kind of guy with old-fashioned values. She's a bit more spontaneous and gray with her thoughts and feelings. She recently asked if we could try a threesome. I said I'm not interested. We had a great run for about 18 months, but what's different this time is rather than her trying to fix something, her psychologist has asked if she'd embrace these thoughts and has asked if I would consider renegotiating what is acceptable. I've told her many times that there's nothing wrong with having fleeting desires, but she needed to be really clear on what it is a need and a want. We sat down last night and talked over many things. She said she's thought about what her gray area looks like and wanted to reassure me she does not want to open the marriage, does not want to sleep with other people. Nothing sexual with anyone. She does, however, want to feel less judged, but also know I'd be okay if she flirted with people to keep building her confidence. There was the other things, but she feels she would only focus on telling me the things she won't do, as opposed to what she would. I wouldn't be privy to what those are. She then proceeds to tell me that she had 3 guys in the space of 2 months recently willing to sleep with her. Her reassurance here was that if she wanted out of the marriage, she would have considered it. However, on the flip side, she tells me she would never go through with it. She values everything about me as a person, values our marriage and children, etc. Which led her to this renegotiation. Considering my own personal history of being cheated on by my first wife, all of this has really pushed me to the brink. I'm struggling to see any benefit out of this that takes my needs also into consideration. All I see here is her trying to get me to accept this is who she is and that her needs are more important than mine. I told her I'm not willing to stay married if it's purely out of comfort. I'm quite aware of the term cake eater, and I'm struggling to see how any of my needs are being put on the table. We are quite aware that no one can give anyone else complete fullness in their lives, but the difference is, I'm the type of person who just accepts it for what it is, whereas she has a need to fulfill any gaps. Would really appreciate any insight or ways I could calm my thoughts or ways forward. Couples counseling is one, however, she's told me she needs to continue focusing on herself. There's likely more I could say, but we'll add more as needed. Our first community comment comes from Cranach. I understand your discomfort. In the end, she's asking you to flirt with another man, even if it is just to build up her confidence. We all know where that can lead to. At first, she enjoys the compliments of other men. Then, the looks he throws at her, and before you know it, she sleeps with other men because she found out what a huge boost it is to her confidence, to know that other men desire her as well. Of course, that doesn't mean that she doesn't love you. It is all about her confidence. Sarcasm out. There is no way for you to get comfortable with this kind of behavior, even more if you have already been cheated on in the past. This is the definition of a red flag. In addition, there are, in my opinion, some very obvious red flags in what she told you, especially when she said she had 3 guys in the space of 2 months recently willing to sleep with her. I mean, what? How come that she was at least 3 times in a situation where men wanted to have sex with her? It isn't as if you go out somewhere and a dude just approaches her and tells her that he wants to have sex with her. There was some communication that happened before that, some meetings, kissing or making out, and who knows what else to get to the point where someone told her that he wants to have sex with her. So the question is, what has she already done behind your back to get 3 people in 2 months to want to have sex with her? How many more times has that happened before these 2 months? She wants something that you are not okay with. It sounds to me that in the recent months, she has already made things that you wouldn't be comfortable to know if you ever found out. You now need to make a decision if this is acceptable for you or not. She will do it either way. The only question is, will she do it like she did until now, behind your back, or will you give her permission to do that? This whole renegotiation only happened because she is tired to try and hide what she is doing. Good luck and stay strong. Our next comment from One Bad Shot. She is preparing you for her inevitable affair by forcing you to accept her erasing the reasonable boundaries around your relationship. This is the first time I have recommended a preemptive divorce, but she deserves it. She is pulling out all the stops, including claiming her therapist is on board with this relationship suicide pact, to convince you to agree to explode your marriage. The best way to say no to an insane request from a mentally unwell spouse who insists on nuking the relationship is handing them divorce papers. You cannot reason a person out of a position they did not use reason to get into. The OP's response? She told me she's being treated for schema therapy. I know a little bit about it, but had hoped her reasons for doing so was to correct bad behavior. Her entire tone has shifted since her therapist suggested it. Her view is now one of what makes something right or wrong. I get it to a degree, but not in the context of bettering yourself to a better wife. Some quotes. I'm tired of being the socially acceptable wife. Your needs are important as mine, but I'm not held accountable for them. A light switch has gone off in her head. She left her last husband for the same reason. He wanted her to pursue emotional connections with other men, and then he cheated on her. One Bad Shot's response? Cut her out of your life like you would a cancerous tumor on your backside, and for the same reason. It is impossible to reconcile with an unremorseful woman. Proverbs 30:20. Such is the way of an adulterer's woman. She eats, wipes her mouth, and says, I've done nothing wrong. Oh wait, there's an update. I had been second guessing myself since posting part 1 on the weekend. Eventually, we got to a point where I was actually comfortable laying crap raw and honest with her. We talked for over 3 hours. She blame shifted constantly, still believes her not effing anyone is her compromise, but it runs way deeper than that. Her issues are incurable and a disease of the mind. Trickle Truths and a massive compromise on my behalf saw us in an informal renegotiation, but it didn't ease my mind one nuance. I wanted to give myself some time to own my feelings, however my gut wasn't letting me. I ended it last night. No remorse from her, no emotion. I've since found out she's been using her burner work phone since June to continue to disrespect me in our marriage. Some moron she's run into at a coffee shop, a teacher, dick pics, his face, full-blown sexting, a hilarious photo of someone sitting in a car pointing camera at a dumpster in an alley, a place to screw, apologies over arguments, and more. Crap an actual couple would deal with, not this fantasy world. Pretty sure this is one of the guys she could have effed, but said she didn't. There was a I cannot go through with this message, unsure who sent it, as the chat history is ridiculously confusing, deleted messages, forwards from her other phone of screenshots, etc. This morning, snooped the phone again, and she still forwarded a dick pic he sent from last night onto her other phone after I ended it. This, plus her need to post daily to a private Facebook group of over 400,000 guys and gals basically weeding out F partners for each other. Bottom feeders who think it's hot and okay to objectify each other. And she likes it. 400,000 people who get her lingerie, seductive, and practically naked photos before her husband does. Her asking single and desperate guys to inbox her. There's my effing concrete, and it happened on a Wednesday. I have photos of the proof. Do I show her? Wasted time, sure. But flip, even a tiny piece of this retribution at this point feels oh so right. Have faith in me on my long journey decoupling out of this absolute crap show. Have no fear, we've got more updates. The last 2 weeks since I posted has been a roller coaster. She showed me some signs of sadness and empathy the other day. However, she basically said in a roundabout way, my mood is dictating the entire dynamic. She said she understands I need to process things and that's okay, but also if I kept being mopey, any reconciliation will never happen, as why would she want to be around that? She also said she is mourning our marriage. I got mixed signals, but left it. We started to discuss the house, kids, pets, etc. It ended up me basically asking her to be respectful of me processing my emotions, and by continuing to chat and exchange photos with random dudes, it's not respectful. I can't stop her, but then she burst into tears and stormed off saying, I can't believe you think of me like that. I went to myself, what the F? That's half the reason you wanted to renegotiate the marriage. The main issue she had in the past was apparently I never communicated with her my feelings. While now she really doesn't care about them, even less so with what's going on. I'm opening up difficult conversations with her and she's on the defensive. All it's doing, in my opinion, is speaking the truth and she isn't able to accept it for what it really is. She has blocked me on all social media and will only text me. Says she's not a bad person. Last night, she hands me a how to get over a separation info sheet. Condescending much? But orders us ice creams on Uber Eats. It's just a really weird dynamic at the moment. Interaction is necessary, but I'm obviously still her comfort person to a degree. We go from zero communication for days at a time to her asking when my next therapist appointment is, saying goodbye in the morning, etc. I only interact with her when it's to do with the kids. We're in separate bedrooms, and she walks around with her head high, full of confidence. There's no remorse or guilt, and if she's hiding her pain, she's doing a very good job of it. I'm making small progress towards untangling our lives. Opened new bank accounts, looked into new insurances, filled out a separated under one roof application to our local government, went through my things, chucked out the love notes and cards full of messages saying how lucky she was to find me, how perfect our lives and futures will be. The larger steps, such as listing the house, are to come, but keeping our kids' lives somewhat settled is priority. I've started therapy with an amazing psychologist, reached out to friends and distant acquaintances alike. All have been extremely supportive. Her? She's all over social lapping it up, never home dealing with her feelings when the kids aren't here, and is somewhat at ease with everything. No idea whether I'll ever get love bombed or whatever, but just doing my best to move forward without her. The bucket may drop eventually, but who knows? She'll need to move to a higher cost part of the city for her biological kids' schooling, private fees on top. Sell her new car and get a cheap runaround, as it's a shared debt. Source half new furniture, moving costs, mortgage payout costs, and more. Sure, government will assist her, but she's awful with money, so we'll find living frugally a real shock. That might make her wake up. Update 3. I don't think my soon-to-be ex-wife could get much worse, but here we are. We're sharing a unit for a week away we booked ages ago. Tonight is the only overlap night. She made a phone call in her room. Didn't know I could hear most of it sitting in the lounge. Apparently, there's a dude, I have a first name, she's already seeing, either casually or more. She was bad-mouthing me half the time, and the other half saying how amazing he was, etc. He has already met her 2 kids. What the F? Here at the unit or close by, and they were told not to say anything. I think he stayed here last night according to the conversation, and why I was not allowed up until this afternoon. She goes, I hope you enjoyed your 2 booty calls last week, confirming my suspicions. She's getting her whole family to help her pack this weekend, or next, and should be in her new place Tuesday next week. More bad-mouthing me. She's even considering leaving her kids with him so she can run some errands. They talked about how good the sex was, how amazing she thinks he is. This woman is freaking insane. Alright, one respondent from the community. Thrilla da Gorilla. What happened to, my wife said she doesn't want to sleep with other people. It didn't take her long to throw that out the window, did it? You need a lawyer to set up a separation agreement, one that stipulates she can't bring the kids around her F-buddies. Anyways, just gray rock her, bro, for your own sanity. Do nothing for her, accept nothing from her, not even words. Let her spiral down this world she's thrown herself in. You look after you and the kids as best you can. The OP's response? They are my stepkids, so I don't have a say. I do worry about them as this behavior is effing insanity. I'm considering telling their bio dad. Thrilla da Gorilla's response? Yes, tell the bio dad. If he is still in their life, he deserves to know what's going on with his kids. I know it sucks, but if there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do. Get her out of your life as fast as possible. 100% gone.